Lindsay Lohan's a good girl, or is she a bad girl missing her limbs? It's David Lynch through the eyes of the Nickelodeon audience. We saw I Know Who Killed Me, and now you know what that means.
Now it's time for How Did This Get Made? We're gonna have a good time, celebrate some failure, not just be a hater, cause you know you wonder, how did this get made? Let's wallow in the mediocrity of subpar art. Perhaps we'll find the answer to the question, how did this get made?
Hello, people of Earth, and welcome to How Did This Get Made? The podcast where we try to make sense of the movies that make no sense. I am joined, as always, by Jason Mantzoukas.
How are you, Paul?
Very good. And June Diane Raphael.
Hi, Paul.
Thank you guys so much for listening to our last episode. I know we probably have a lot more new listeners here, and you probably are expecting us to have some sort of star actor or director. That is a special thing. We're not going to do that every week, but we're going to try to do it when we can. But our normal format is where we just sit around and talk about the movies and ask the question, how did this get made? And we always do it with a special guest, and our special guest this week is the hilariously funny Ken Marino. You know him from the State and Children's Hospital.
Hello.
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 Hello. Are you doing? I would love it if you just chose a character to do for this whole thing. Hello.
You're British. You're British off camera. Man, oh man, this movie, I Know Who Killed Me. I've heard about this movie forever. I've never seen it. And there's so many things to talk about here.
Are there? Are there so many things?
I just want to say Robot Leg. Robot Leg plays a crucial part of this film.
Robot Hand.
Robot Hand.
Yeah.
Well, how about the
Robot
guy
Hands.
who makes the robot hands?
Wait.
Who looks
Snoop
like
Dogg?
that's Snoop Dogg.
No, it's the guy from My Name is Earl.
The Catfish Man, right?
Yeah, the guy who delivers pizza or something. I don't know. I really want
thought.
to.
Oh my God! I thought it was the guy who teaches Nomi how to dance from Showgirls.
No.
No, it is
the guy
the
from My Name is
Crawfish Man
Earl.
or whatever.
Well, the robot arm plays a pretty
Oh
integral.
my God! We just really jumped in straight to
Yeah,
robot
we did.
arm.
We got right in there. But it plays an important part to the plot of this movie. And one of my favorite parts is when Lindsay Lohan says, her character just says, "Oh, God, I keep on forgetting to plug this robot arm in." What is she
Forget
doing?
to plug it in at night.
Yeah, what is she doing
is so
that she forgets
blasé.
to...
Well, she is so blasé about being a double amputee and being mistaken for the wrong person. She's just like, ugh.
It ain't
I'm not Aubrey or whatever her name. Audrey? What's her?
Aubrey.
Aubrey
I'm not
and
Aubrey.
Dakota.
I'm Dakota. Yoinks.
All right, so let's bring it back just a second. So this movie is essentially about a good girl, Aubrey Moss, who is played by Lindsay Lohan. Very good.
Really?
Very solid performance. This is right
She's-
before the downfall, would you
She's
say?
in. No.
Right before it?
Are you insane?
Was this
This
in
is
it?
mid.
This is
Deep
she has-
into it. One of my first comments watching it, thoughts was like, get that woman a cigarette. She clearly needs a cigarette.
Yeah.
Oh.
Everybody.
Even the father. The father, by the way, in this movie has been like a creepy guy in many things, and now he's supposed to be a
Yes.
likable. Like he looks like a killer the entire time. Her dad,
Neil McDonough.
Neil McDonough, very good in Captain America.
You're supposed to think that he might be.
Oh,
Are
yeah.
you supposed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
Very
the way
much.
they stage him, like he's creeping behind the couch during the mom's.
Oh, right.
You Were
He
Kicking
shows up
speech.
wherever she is and is like, I'm right here. It's just me in the cemetery. It's just
Yeah.
me. What? What do you mean it's just me?
How did you find her there?
That made no sense. And how did the parents get over to that house? All right. So basically, Aubrey Moss is a good girl, doesn't want to have sex with her boyfriend. She's a creative writer.
But does want to have sex with a gardener.
She wants to.
This is one of the best scenes in the whole movie.
Holy shit.
Whoa!
She pulls up to her house in her convertible, looks in the rearview mirror to see the gardener shirtless.
No, he takes off his shirt.
Oh,
He's in a tank top.
Yes.
I have a lot to talk about the first appearance of Julia Ormond, but go ahead, Paul.
So she pulls up in her car. She looks at this gardener. They kind of make eyes with each other. He takes off his tank top.
He is fat. He is.
He's not.
This guy is
He's just not in shape.
He is
Yeah.
not in shape.
He's kind of in shape, but he's got like a
Yep.
donut.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they keep shooting him either above his donut or like out of focus.
Why not hire a super ripped, good-looking
And
guy?
by the way,
It's
has
not
a
believable.
really, but he also has a really strange like chest tattoo.
Yeah, a
which
nipple
I've
tattoo.
Never seen
Yeah.
anything like
he
that.
has a nipple tattoo.
Which is like a scorpion or like, yeah, and he's making eyes with her, she's making eyes with him, and then he picks up a big, like,
Oh my
a
God.
branch of wood,
A rod.
a real rod, and starts like
Jerking it off.
jerking off the rod of wood, and looking at her, and she's kind of like into
into
it.
it.
And
Totally
meanwhile, the
into it.
camera is panning her body like it's a fucking pantyhose ad.
Yeah.
Like it keeps going down to her legs, up her butt, and then she gives him the finger, and it's like he's jerking off the tree branch. And I'm like, this isn't in a movie. You guys know you're rolling right now, right? This is being recorded.
This should have been on the blooper reel of this film because it's like he's so like sexual with this piece of wood that he's just like slowly jerking off, and isn't he licking his lips too, or he's like his face is. But I don't understand why she flipped him off. She seemed like she was into it.
I thought so too. I thought they were going to get it done.
She was flirting, but like Aubrey won't do something like that. She's just not going to do that.
Yeah, when
Whereas
it
Dakota,
comes down
Dakota
to
do
it,
something like
Dakota
that?
would jump right into that.
Now-
I mean, that's right up Dakota's alley.
So
but
now
I think
who's
there's a little Dakota in Aubrey.
Oh shit!
Well, because Aubrey is a creative writer who is writing a story about a girl
God.
with two personalities, or so Aubrey is a creative writer in high school.
She's also
writing,
a piano prodigy.
Yes, who won the
young artist.
the next young artist
competition. But that was a long time ago.
But she's still training.
the most generic name.
next young artist.
Yeah, but she's still trying. She's going to try and win it again.
Yeah, she can
guys.
win. Yeah, how could you be the next young artist twice?
Who knows?
That
she's
was really
giving
confusing. So when she had won it years
prior,
back.
yeah.
Okay, so she's
As a piano prodigy.
so
but
it's something where you can go every year and
Apparently.
give it the old college try.
I don't think she was competing for the next young artist competition again. She just had won it, and he believed in her so much that he just brought that up. He's like,
Oh, maybe.
You won the next young artist competition.
That's no small feat.
Yeah, you have to keep working at this. You're brilliant.
So
the
you-
She
very
says, "I'm gonna-"
prestigious
Yeah.
next young artist competition, which they gave at a trophy. You see the trophy later, and it looks like the worst softball trophy. It's like intramural softball trophy.
Terrible. Terrible. And then she's like, I'm giving up piano. I have to focus on my writing. And I just got into Yale.
Yes.
That's where I was like, wait, she's in high school? Looks like literally
When they
an
pan
old
around
woman.
the classroom, she could be the teacher. It's like To
Oh,
Die
yeah.
For. That scene.
Wait, there's a point. Oh my god, I can't even. This movie made me mental. She is so amazing. But we've skipped over the first scene, which is the strip club scene.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Where
yes.
she's stripping in like a gauzy dress, then takes that off to reveal a corset. She had more clothing on than it was like topless titty shots of all the other women.
Everyone's naked
and
except
she's
her.
wearing basically a snowsuit.
And she's like crawling around really like slow. It's slow motion. It's the most not sexual
It's so
Yeah.
generic.
scene, except for that one part where she like crawls over to the old guy
Oh,
and
yes.
takes his cigarette and implies that she stuck it up her cooch.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
He
and
smells
then
it.
they cut away and then she hands the cigarette back to him and he smells it.
That was
Yeah.
exciting.
Oh.
That,
Oh, so that was.
That's-
You thought that was
I
sexy.
think the
that's
no.
where I,
Yeah,
that's
you
where
thought it
I
was.
started.
No.
That's where I started jerking off. That's where I started jerking off in this movie. I was like, oh shit.
on his reaction shot.
She's addicted to cigarettes in her pussy.
Her pussy wants that cigarette as much as she does. Well, we're jumping ahead to
Oh my God.
you establish her as a stripper, but then you realize she's a good schoolgirl. That's an interesting thing. And the stripper's bleeding in the beginning. That's also
Yeah, there's
interesting.
blood all over the pole, which is also, I
Yes.
was like, yoinks, this is crazy.
So
Very unsettling.
Aubrey is abducted, and then and she is
Although
tortured.
we don't see that, but yes.
Yes, and then she is tortured, and then they find her body on the side of the road. And when she wakes up, she is no longer Aubrey. She is Dakota Moss, and Dakota Moss is a stripper. And everyone's like, "You're Aubrey." She's like, "No, I'm Dakota Moss."
And they're like, you've been through a trauma, you can't face it. And the police, who are the worst,
Yes.
interrogate her like she murdered herself.
Let's
I'm
listen.
really angry at her.
They basically were like, stop fucking with us.
Yeah, they. Why are you not giving us
She
information?
has no limbs.
She has she
Yes.
has just been like tortured for 18 days.
And that's the other thing. She is missing half of an arm and half of a leg.
And it's implied. Wait, guys, did everybody else hear this, or am I out of my mind? The guy cut all her fingers off, but then sewed them back on.
Yes. Yeah. And-
What?
But then the hospital had to remove the whole hand.
Yes.
It's what I
Oh, that was of
understood.
the other hand. Oh, because the
No,
hand,
it was the
no,
hand
no.
that he.
the hand she uses.
The hand that he put the dry ice on. He puts dry ice on in like a vice, and then that's why she was sewing on that finger later. Here,
my God.
let's listen to the interrogation scene. We have a small clip here.
Aubrey, you have got to stop playing games with us. Am I making myself clear? We have to know the truth.
Oh, I'm sorry. You want to know the truth? Well, what about me? You think I don't? How the fuck would you feel? Fingers, leg, hand, gone. I practically fucking died.
That's the best.
And now I'm locked up in the fucking hospital like a goddamn prisoner.
That is it. There you go.
And now I'm locked up in the line.
Line? She doesn't remember her line.
It feels to me like she was like, I'm not saying what's in the script. I'll just improvise. That's what
Right.
it seemed like to me.
Yeah.
She's
There was
like,
a lot of parts that I
this
felt that
scene-
way.
No.
Fingers, hands, legs,
All gone.
I want to fucking know what's going on here, too.
By the way, there were a lot of fucks in this movie, and I feel like the director just said, like, if you need to use that word or if it comes up, just let it rip.
Also,
Because
though, she says it in a very unnerving way. Like, her fucks felt abrasive to me. I didn't like her saying fuck.
Especially when she was like, "Does Aubrey fuck you like that?" I was like, ha! Yeah. Stop it.
What? Oh, do you remember?
That
I
was
want
an
to talk about this.
upsetting scene.
When she comes back to the house, or when she's in the house, they have a close up on that dog, that hairless chihuahua or
No, that was
cat.
a
It's a cat. The
Paul, that's
first
a cat.
scene of Julia Ormond is after Aubrey has disappeared, and Julia Ormond is being interviewed by the FBI lady, and you only see her in the mirror, and she's
Oh, yes.
stroking a hairless cat. And I was like, this is straight out of like, this is a Dr. Evil Austin Powers joke.
And that cat has this weird bump coming out of his ass. It looks like, I don't know if that's balls or dick, or it looks like.
Yeah.
I think it was his balls.
It's really It's really weird looking. It's like a little butt jutting out of his ass. It's really.
What was up
nub,
with?
I mean.
And the other, this is where I started to be like, oh boy, here we go, because right in the scene prior to this was the scene where Aubrey's being tortured with all of the pretend blue instruments.
Yes.
Instruments of torture.
Blue.
Yes,
More
let's talk
blue.
about
This is
blue. Let's talk
sponsored
about
by Blue Man Group.
Well, this is what happened. It's the blue rose and then the blue instruments, and then when you see the Julia Ormond stroking the cat's wearing a blue collar, and I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a blue thing. Isn't it?
but
It was awful.
Blue is
Everywhere.
in the football game.
Yeah.
The piano teacher's ring, the Liberace style ring he wore. Blue was like, it was so
Except for
overblown.
red, the red of Dakota's World. The
Yes.
strip club is red. Red.
But here's my
God.
question: Why blue? Like, what the?
Well,
Yeah,
I'll
what
tell
was
you
the
why.
blue?
Because blue is the color of the ribbon of the Young Artist competition.
Wait, that was the whole
Do
thing?
you think that's why?
I don't know.
Blue's the ribbon of any first place
could've-
ribbon.
No.
You could have
I
sold
don't know,
that.
you
I would have
guys.
believed that.
But the
I don't know if I
blue,
can
but I mean, the blue is a weird. Yeah, there's no reason for the blue. I mean, even the serial killer who has like He-Man style instruments.
What are they? Plastic something.
No, you know what this
Plastic-
guy was
Yeah,
like?
like kryptonite.
This guy was like, you know what I want this movie to be? It's a little bit Twin Peaks. It's a little bit Cronenberg Dead Ringers. I'm going to make my own instruments of torture. You know, it's not like random scalpels and stuff, but they are like plastic-looking weirdo.
It looks like a He-Man toy.
Yeah, it does.
And
was
he
weird-
buries his like victims in a stained glass coffin, like
And
also-
dresses them up like old timey.
They look like Little House on the Prairie when she's in that little coffin there. Oh, whoa! I wrote this down. I don't remember it, but I think it's funny. Don't ask me any more questions. What was that?
Oh,
from?
that was when they find out that Jennifer Tolan's dead. The teacher finds out.
Oh,
my God. yeah.
That's first in class. She finds out and she turns to class and says, Jennifer Tolan's body's just been found.
But then they
Please
cut
don't
to-
ask me any questions because I don't have any details.
Then they cut to the football game, and the announcer's like, "Jennifer Tolan's body was found this week. We're going to we're going to have a moment of silence." And it was like and then it's like, "All right, let's go!" And I was like, "What are you screaming about Jennifer Tolan's dead body?"
I also like that they said her body was found, not that she's died. She's passed. It's like her body was found.
Yeah.
So terrible.
What? Just talking about that football game, which I think was a junior college. I think she was actually in junior
No.
college. Yes, I think she was in junior college. But so what?
Wait,
junior,
that would blow my mind if that's the case.
She
I
was
think she
going
was.
from junior college to
Yale.
Yale.
Oh.
What?
Who
That's
sets
quite a
who
leap.
sets a movie in junior college? What are you
junior
talking about?
college
Ken?
football team has a fucking Mardi Gras celebration.
Right?
Like everybody is like celebrating in that street. It was crazy. It was
I think
mayhem.
what's crazier is I genuinely believe it was high school. And it was like
It was high
every
school,
single
you
person
guys.
who was
Ken, it was high
there,
school.
It was like-
every
I
single
think it
person
said-
that was
I think
there
it
was
said
in their
junior-
30s.
I think it
Junior
said
college
junior
wouldn't be able
college.
to have that kind of a celebration,
But no,
right?
yes, but then they had a 20. Did you hear that they had a 21 and under curfew? And then when she disappeared, nobody was on the street.
Yeah, the
there
streets
was
were empty.
nobody on the street except her two friends and her boyfriend.
Who were waiting for her to go to a movie, and she's nowhere to be seen. The entire street front is empty, and they're screaming in front, like, Aubrey! Aubrey! Like,
Oh my God.
but she's not around.
And then
Clearly is not around.
And then Brian Garrity, who's her boyfriend, shows up. Oh, this poor guy. He's in like amazing,
He's a wonderful
amazing
actor.
movie. What's it called?
He's
Blow Up
in
Explosion.
Hurt
The
Locker,
Hurt
and
Locker.
Hurt Locker,
and
and then this movie. And he comes running up and he's like, "Where's Aubrey?" And they're like, "Oh no!" And he's like, Where did she park?" And they go, "That street." And he's like, "What?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Wait, no, what street?" She goes, "The street, that one over there." Like, what? It's like the craziest conversation.
It's weird.
If
It's so
that was
weird.
written in the script, I would be like, "This is preposterous." And she goes, "The street with the art gallery." And he's like, "I know." And then they run there, and it's apparently like a block away.
I turned to Eric. I was like, was that page of dialogue necessary? Like, what was that all about?
Yeah.
And then there was a blue rose that he gave her in her car, which is unsure if she placed it there or if the killer placed it
No,
there.
you know what? It's the entire movie was threaded with misdirect so that you would think everybody was the killer.
Right.
Yes.
So that you would think because he gave her the blue rose and blue is the color of the murderer, he's the murderer. Because the cat has the collar, the mom is the murderer. The dad is the murderer. Everybody was possible, but it made no sense because by sowing those seeds in everyone, it made like the real murderer.
Everything is red
Oh, well,
hair.
they never called back the gardener.
Yeah, they did. Right
They
before
did.
she disappeared, the gardener drives by with his headlight is hanging off the car.
It's blue.
No, he's just driving by and she sees him and you think, oh, she's gonna go fuck him now.
Yeah.
Right, no, I know he's there, but did he have anything blue on him?
He had blue balls from the earlier scene.
Nice.
That
So
lines
now-
up.
So can anyone answer why the police department set up in a local church for no reason? And every person who worked for the FBI just wore a black shirt that said FBI?
Oh my
I've
God.
never seen more T-shirts with people just said FBI on it. All walking around like, well, I hope this doesn't upset the church social on
I
Sunday.
genuinely felt like all of those scenes, they just put out a casting call and just put homeless people in FBI t-shirts.
Who was the Murray brother who was in the white beard? He looked like the missing Murray brother.
Oh my God.
Who just
It
kinda-
looks like Brian Doyle Murray, but it's not.
You want to hear on the DVD? There is a blooper reel, and that guy who looks like the missing Bill Murray brother has a pretty hilarious blooper. So let's listen to it.
There was enough speed left in Jennifer Tilly.
Oh, he's upset. He said Jennifer Tilly.
There was enough speed in Jennifer Tolan. There was enough speed in Jennifer Tilly.
What?
Yeah.
And then this guy does it.
No, he wasn't done with Jennifer.
Oh, okay. So Brian Doyle Murray, imposter.
Who's not Brian Doyle? I don't want to malign Brian Doyle
He's
Murray.
not
here.
Brian Doyle Murray. Kept on saying Jennifer Tilly.
We're going to
and
get
that-
an email. It's like, hey guys, Brian Doyle Murray
I
here.
do some good movies.
I'm in Groundhog Day.
That blooper reel made me laugh. So the blooper reel is not a blooper reel, but that was the funniest part, that he couldn't remember Jennifer Tolan versus Jennifer Tilly. And he gets so upset. He's like, he closes his eyes. It's like,
Yeah, he's
really upset
not,
that he's messed
he
it
doesn't
up.
laugh it
There's
off
so
at
much.
all.
There's so much I want to talk about on an individual. I can't tell if we should keep approaching it
know.
from the point of view of the plot or the insanity.
There's a lot of
like,
different ways in.
Okay,
Maybe-
so when
yeah.
she's in the hospital, when she wakes up in the hospital and she has no arm and no leg, right?
Yes.
No, guys, I need to know. Oh my God, this is a stupid question. Did Dakota's arm and leg disappear because Aubrey's were cut off?
Yes.
It's sympathetic twin shit, right?
Yes.
It's non-religious stigmata.
Right?
Which we need
Wait,
to talk
guys,
about.
guys.
The Leonard
Yes.
Nimoy-esque.
Art Bell, who was like a
That
crazy
thing-
conspiracy theory
Oh my God.
guy. Yeah, so later on in the
Bleeding
movie,
wounds unexplained is what she Googles.
yes, she
No, she asked.
Oh, this
first
is
she
amazing.
writes
.com.
bleeding wounds,
Ask
and then
Jeeves.
asks-
She goes to Ask
Ask.com.
Jeeves. Yeah, to ask and type in bleeding wounds unexplained, and up comes a movie that explains why she could have it.
In
It's
which the
non-religious
internet
stigmata.
guy on the thing who's explaining it scientifically is smoking.
Yes.
What?
Because he's
What are
trying
you
to-
talking about?
He's trying to do like a Rod Serling, but it
Who
looks so
knows?
cheap.
Oh, it's
and
the worst.
terrible. And so basically, so the whole movie, she's like, I'm Dakota, I'm not Aubrey, and I'm Dakota because what's happening is.
We're twins.
We're twins, and my twin is being hurt, and that's why my limbs are falling off, which explains why she was bleeding on the pole in the beginning of the movie. She's a stripper, and so
She was stripping when her sister Aubrey was getting tortured.
Yes.
Yes.
Porn
So that's why
torture.
fingers were falling off.
And
Yes.
the guy was dry icing her fingers
Oh.
off. Which, by the way, just how disgusting. Like, why?
That
Crazy.
torture.
I'll tell
that
you why,
torture scene was
actually.
really upsetting.
So we're to understand that the piano teacher was cutting off their fingers because
Spoiler
they,
alert.
Yes, it was
Oh,
a piano
yes.
teacher. It was a piano
Guys, it's the piano teacher.
teacher. Piano teacher. So we're to understand that he was cutting off limbs because his students were quitting?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Because
All
he
right.
cut off their pedal foot
And so that's why
one
he
of
cut-
their hands.
I see.
Right.
All
He would torture them for not like. Remember in the beginning when he's like, "It's really simple. Watch," and he does it with his right hand, and he goes, "Blue-blue-blue-blue-blue," and so
That was really good.
He's
That was amazing.
He's burning off their fingers because they aren't using those parts of their bodies to their potential, and so,
So
he's
basically-
angry about
So
it.
he doesn't want them to have them at all.
That was like really
That's what
good.
I
I like that a lot.
Really good.
And so then he gets his comeuppance at the end when she
Get at it.
should we
Yeah, go for it.
She takes so she gets to his house
Oh,
in the
God.
third act.
Dakota.
And Dakota.
With her robot arm and leg.
right. And she
Although
and,
the leg's running out of battery.
Ray is running out of battery.
and the piano teacher, who we don't know it's a piano teacher because he's dressed like Blue Man Group.
Yeah, he has like a blue face
He's got
mask
a big,
on.
yeah, big like rubber blue thing on his face, and he reaches through a door to get her, and she takes this big plastic thing and starts gnawing his arm off, and he doesn't pull it back.
No.
And she takes a good 30
Oh, yeah, it
seconds
takes a
to
while
minute
to get
to
there.
really cut through the whole thing. And so then at the end, he's sitting at the piano,
Yeah.
and he can't play,
play.
Oh,
that beautiful
boy.
thing he played in the beginning.
Oh boy.
But now also, that doesn't explain the fact that in his basement, he just had mannequin legs hanging from the
No, I
ceiling.
thought
Yeah.
those were human legs. They weren't. They were
man.
No,
mannequin
they
were
were
prosthetic.
mannequin legs.
Oh, okay.
And he kept on kissing them when he went down. Like, so he loves the pedal foot that much in piano that he needs them around.
I don't know what that meant.
Did you guys notice, by the way? And now I think okay. I'm gonna amend what I thought was going on in the beginning, because now it really was about him cutting off people's legs. But there were so many shots of feet in this movie that I was like, oh, the person that made this movie is straight up a foot fetishist.
fetish. Yeah,
because
yeah.
there were so many shots of everybody's feet. It was crazy. And I jerked off.
But what about this is a movie that is so full of sex, but no nudity from Lindsay Lohan. Like, she has like a hardcore sex scene with Brian Garrity. She's stripping. Everyone around her is naked except for her. And by the way,
She strips while her fingers are falling off and acts like it's no big
no
deal.
big
She is literally
deal.
like she is so blasé about wounds opening on her body, her fingers falling off, and it's just like, whatever. Well, I cut my hand
I
on
was
some
having
glass.
a drink outside.
I cut my hand on some glass. Your
Hospitals-
finger fell off.
onto the floor.
She's like, hospitals are for rich people.
Yeah, hospitals are for rich people.
Her finger fell off for no reason.
That was the best line, and this is the other best line. Julia Ormond comes.
Well, her reaction too was to sew it back on.
Yeah.
that was her thing. The hospitals are for rich people. I'll just sew
I'm gonna
this
drink a little booze,
Oh my
go
God.
home,
and sew this on.
but
I'm going to take the bus home.
take the bus home, and there's a guy who's like, people get cut. What do you say?
Yeah, people get cut.
That's exactly
A
what
guy,
he said.
she's like bleeding, and like she's flirting with the guy on the bus. Her fucking fingers
Yeah.
off.
And she's dressed like the Great Gatsby or something like
She
that. She's got
is-
like
yeah.
a flapper hat on.
Oh my
her.
God. The Julia Ormond comes into the hospital when she wakes up and is trying to remind Dakota, quote unquote,
Yeah.
that she is Aubrey and has like a teddy bear. And she goes, "Oh, yeah, I brought some things from home for you." And she's clearly nervous, and she's like, just to, because people in comas sometimes respond to stuff. She goes, "Do I look like I'm in a fucking coma?" And then she goes, "This," and she pulls out the teddy bear and goes, "This is Mr. Jervis." I was like,
She does the whole voice. Like,
"What?
Mr. Jervis
This
wants
is
me, man."
Mr. Jervis, me. And I was like, holy shit. This is the scariest part of this movie.
How about the part where Dakota's talking about her mother,
Oh, God.
and she goes, "I always knew my mother because she'd come around on payday, but then she didn't come around on one payday, and I went over to her house." She goes over to her house to find her dead mother, who is mummified.
Yeah.
like she's not
That was
like
scary.
dead like for a day. Like she's
But here's
dead
the
for.
thing. You can't have a flashback for a character that's not real. Like it.
Yes.
At that point, I'm like, wait, what are we looking at right now?
But she is real.
No, she is real. But
Turns
at
out
that
she's
moment is when
think
you're
she's
like,
fake.
oh, well, this is now this has to be a real
Right.
person. Because otherwise, why would you show me a flashback of a
Are you ready?
So messy.
Are you ready to hear what the alternate ending was?
Oh my God.
Yes.
Let me take my pants off.
Aubrey wrote the whole thing.
Wait, what?
Aubrey
wrote the
wrote
whole
this.
thing.
This is her creative writing story.
That's what
What
I
does that
thought
mean,
it was
though?
in the beginning.
But what does that mean? Well, what's her name finds the story Dakota on
No,
Aubrey's computer.
no. This
No,
is
this
all
whole thing
made
was
up.
all in
This
her
is her
head.
creative writing that she wrote.
I'm glad they went this way.
They shot
Me
it.
too.
They showed it to a test audience. Test audiences reacted so negatively to it that they just cut out the final scene of the movie. That's why the movie ends kind of so abruptly. Like they just lay in the ditch when they finally meet.
Yeah.
Like there's no real conclusion past the fact. So yeah, the alternate ending was that it's all in her head. So the whole movie was shot with that as the
goal.
idea. The goal was that.
Oh God!
So it was like a real like rug puller at the end.
Yes.
Wow. One of my favorite things was like when who plays the female FBI detective?
The woman who was on ER, I think, right? Wasn't she on ER for a while?
I don't know. But anyway, she finds on the computer the story Dakota and is like, look at this. It's a story and blah, 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 and blah, blah. And then it flashes back to Aubrey reading the story Dakota.
Yes.
She's seductively sitting on the teacher's desk reading her story out loud to the class. And then she looks up and goes, to be continued. And I was like, you don't write to be continued in your short story class, you fucking assholes.
Again, a little improv, probably. A little improv in there.
To be continued.
To be continued.
Fuck you.
Did you like the fact that she used the robot hand to help break through things? Like she goes, like she has to get into a coffin to save Aubrey, who was buried alive in a prairie dress, and she looks at her hand and she's like, "Zhunk." She just closes it like Iron Man and just like, and smashes through a coffin to be able to save her.
Yeah, you see her make that decision. She's like, I dug up with a shovel, which I could have easily broken the glass with. I dug up a hole. And now I've cleared everything away so you can perfectly see the glass that my sister is behind and buried under. And now I'm going to decide to use this hand. Because if I didn't have the hand, how would I break the glass?
It'd be impossible.
No way. By the way, I thought it was really lame that we didn't get to see any of the amputations during the sex scene with Brian Garrity.
Oh, you wanted to see
that?
that?
I did.
I wanted to see her like get it all in there.
Oh, can we talk about the music
I
in the
wanted to
sex
see
scene?
some stump action.
The comic section of the movie.
I did too, actually.
You wanted
That's
to see
exactly
some
what I
stump
wanted
sucking.
to see.
You're
That's
filthy, Jen.
disgusting. That is,
It was
wait,
all shot from the other side.
so Ken and I, we were having our separate conversation.
I love that this is just split into two different conversations about this movie.
We were talking about the sex scene with the comic relief that was going on, which is Aubrey is upstairs banging Brian Garrity.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the setup is the boyfriend comes back. The football boyfriend comes back and is meeting who he thinks is Aubrey for the first time. I mean, since her accident.
Right, yes.
But it's really Dakota. And so he's like, I know you're Dakota. And she's like, no, I mean, I know you're Aubrey. And she's like, no, I'm Dakota. And he goes over and he kisses her to try to kind of snap her back into it. Well, she gets turned on. She's like, let's go upstairs and fuck in my parents' house. And Julia Armand
She's
is
like, I only got one condom.
Yeah.
Make it worth your while.
Yeah.
And it's really sunny
Make
out.
it last.
It's really
Yeah.
sunny
By
out,
the
but the
way,
room
where
is
did that
completely
condom
blue.
come from?
From Aubrey. Aubrey's a safe girl.
Oh, okay.
But I guess Dakota's done an inventory of Aubrey's.
Yeah, because
Oh,
she's
yeah.
never
everything.
had
She
sex.
just walked home, right?
She's never been here before,
She's never
and
been
is
there.
acting so cool. Like this is my house.
By the way, just as a tangent for 1 second, why would they let the parents take her home if she's so delusional?
Yeah.
That they wouldn't let her take her home. Anyway,
Sorry, Ken. Go ahead.
Just the comedic scene is she brings her boyfriend upstairs and fucks him, and there's like funny, silly comic music.
I have a
playing.
clip of it right here. You want to hear it?
And and Julia Armand is downstairs washing. Like washing the sink,
Like
trying
Lady
not to listen
Macbeth.
to them fucking upstairs, and it's supposed to be like a funny scene in the middle of this like porno movie.
It's and the scene goes on for a long time. The sex scene and the scrubbing goes on. But listen to the music that they underscore the sex scene with. Here you go. This is the music.
Oh my God.
They're having
Let's
hardcore
do it
sex
all
to this.
night. It sounds like Cameo. It's like or it's like a Morris
Get
Day
up.
in the it's like a Morris Day in the Time song.
All right, so that is
Work it all night.
that is what's going on while there is furious sex and scrubbing going on.
My favorite thing is when she's talking. At one point she's talking to Julia Ormond and she goes, "I know what's going on. I'm a twin." It cut to Julia Ormond showing her video of a sonogram.
Yes,
from
how
when Julia Ormond was pregnant. I was like, this was impossible. There is no way you have available to you a video of this child in the womb.
They
Was
didn't
it
even
ever-
have VCR, or maybe they just had VCR.
Maybe.
Was it ever explained, though, how she got that video? Since she
Who
did end up...
knows?
No, the
right, her
husband.
baby died. Her
the
baby died.
husband,
Yeah.
and then the
She
ludicrous
fell.
plot is that
Right.
the baby got killed, and then the husband bought a baby off a crack addict down the hall. Part of
Who
the
had
twins.
twins.
Who gave
Yeah.
birth to twins.
And by the way, was sending that woman $11 a month?
like in an envelope.
$11.
$11.
$11.
What?
That's
But
are
a
you
month
talking
for
about?
18 years is pretty good. I mean,
Yeah, that adds up.
My favorite part was Gregory Itzin, the guy who played the vice president on 24, who was like the psychologist, has an iPad at one point, and they're trying to determine if Aubrey is lying.
Oh, my God.
And they go, was she lying? He goes, she's not lying. And then he starts writing on the iPad, and the iPad writing comes up on the screen and goes, delusional. And it just comes up delusional over
on
her
a big
face.
screen on the other
huge
side of the
screen.
room. He doesn't say delusional. He spells it out for everybody to see.
Crazy.
And it's in red.
I also loved when I love, in that way, she turns to the Neil McDonough character when they're in the cemetery and goes, I know who killed me. And I was like, oh my God, this movie has a shitty titular line?
Yeah.
This is amazing. I'm so excited right now.
I was very excited that she said that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
love
yelped.
When
I yelped Thai restaurants because I was hungry.
my favorite part too was when the doctor goes, or Gregory Itzin again is interviewing her, goes, how did your mother die? And she goes, OD, duh. And
Did
says,
she? Oh my
duh.
God.
Duh.
It is. She is also the worst stripper in a movie
Worst.
about strippers ever.
She's the worst stripper and the worst creative writer. I mean,
Yeah.
really, she is not,
Oh my
she's not
God! Watch
excelling
this
in anything.
movie. Watch this movie just to hear her read her short stories aloud to her class, which are, the writer of this movie was like, fucking nailed it. Like, came down that day and like the person's like significant other was like, how was writing today? I fucking nailed it.
I'm doing
The girl in my thing writes short stories, and I just crushed it. And Lindsay Lohan is gonna crush reading these stories.
Do you think that? The piano teacher maybe be right then? She's a bad stripper. She's a bad creative writer. She should have stuck with the piano to do
Maybe
that.
he was
She was
right.
good. She was
Maybe
good
he
on
was
the
right.
piano.
Maybe you're right. Yeah.
Obviously, we had some strong thoughts about this movie, but now it is time for a second opinion.
These are second opinions from top to bottom. Crazy movies are fun.
These are 5-star reviews of I Know Who Killed Me. A. Alexander writes, I watched this movie 3 times now. I could watch it another 8 times. I have no idea why, but I like this movie.
Oh my God.
For starters, the cover box art is pretty awesome.
What?
5
For
stars.
starters.
For starters.
5
That's it.
stars.
And that's it.
Why not start there?
That's worth watching 11 times.
Jack Spratt writes, this movie will challenge your mind and senses. An amazing piece of art. Lindsay Lohan's stripping scenes are the best I've ever seen.
What?
Wow.
For people who are intelligent and love that which is unique, this may become your favorite movie.
Wait, will you reread that sentence?
For people who are intelligent and love that which is unique, this may become your favorite movie.
Okay.
P.S. I've never been to a strip club.
P.P.S. English is not my first language.
You
An
know what was
amazing,
really
exciting piece of art.
unsatisfying, though, is that you didn't even get the fun of like her figuring this thing out.
No.
Like it felt like all of a sudden she knew all of this information. Like there was it didn't unfold.
You know what it had? This movie had a straight up Scooby-Doo ending.
Oh, yeah.
This movie ended like a Scooby-Doo episode where they went to the haunted house, they found the man in the mask, they pulled the mask off, it was the piano teacher, and he was like, I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you meddling twin, and then they fucking killed him.
And, by the way, she went to the piano teacher's house, but every time they cut to an exterior, it was in the middle of the forest,
Yeah.
like deep. I didn't understand the geography between
By the way-
the cemetery and the forest. And if we're even talking about, she has like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 on her wall because she's a writer. There's no Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 in this movie. I was like, is it the June? I was like,
We're in
I don't
short
even understand
stories.
where we're going with this.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a very
yeah.
confusing movie.
But why, when they're driving to his house, she says, we really have to hurry up. We really have to hurry up. Why?
Yeah.
What's pending?
Wait, what I couldn't figure out...
because she's losing her breath because she knows that her sister is buried, or she knows that
She's
something
at the grave. She was already at the grave. Dig
Yes.
your sister up now. Don't go to the guy's house.
No, her sister wasn't at the graveyard. She went to the graveyard and
That was
and
Jennifer Tolan's
that
body.
was-
So
that
her
was somebody
sister
else's-
was alive.
Wait,
Her
her sister was under
alive.
the owl.
Her sister
Remember
was
she
under
saw the owl?
at the piano teacher's
got it,
house.
sorry.
And he just buried her. He had just buried her.
Well, then whose grave?
Jennifer Tolan.
No,
She just saw
her name was
Jennifer
on the
Tilly.
grave.
No, but then it,
Aubrey's.
then it wiped away and it went back to Jennifer Tolan.
Delusion.
Oh, okay.
Now
I
this-
missed that. I
this-
thought she was at Aubrey's grave and left.
So I'm sorry,
For
last
some-
question.
I don't know why
Yeah.
they did that.
yeah.
So was Aubrey alive at the end?
Yes.
It was the first time the sisters met each other since they were born.
And they have to be alive because apparently they are so connected that anything that happens to one happens to the other.
It's a story as old as time.
So I wonder if... I have a question. So does that mean when Brian Garrity made Dakota come when they were having sex, in the coffin, Aubrey came?
Yeah, she came. Yeah.
No,
that must have been very confusing for her.
That was weird for her.
A lot of different feelings.
She's going to have some weird sex
like,
problems.
I'm buried alive. Oh, boy.
What's going on?
Oh, God. Oh, boy.
This final positive review, I just want to read this final one from C. Cloutier. As a traditional film, this is bad. It does not feature explosions or excessive nudity or toilet humor. But as an independent film, this is great.
What?
The trick is being patient and watching the film all the way through. It starts off boring, as most independent films. But the trick is the creative script. You have to get to the end in order to appreciate it.
My God.
By the way, the word trick is in quotation marks.
I love it.
The trick.
Independent as a traditional film.
Most independent films are very, very boring for at least the first
You
half.
just have to apply the right judgment, to it.
Only at the end should things become good.
If you're judging this based on a traditional movie, then you have every right to think it's bad. But if you just apply your independent movie filter, this thing's pretty terrific.
Oh my God! Can we talk about the neck stab face when Dakota finally stabs the piano teacher in the neck? He holds a face like his face is held like
Greatest thing I've ever
like yeah, it's like he's like it looks like it's like one side of his mouth is jutting to one side and the other is the other side, but he holds it for so long.
And then you think he's gonna fall.
Yeah.
But then he doesn't. Then they cut to this wide shot and he starts walking through the prosthetic legs for a while. And then he finally grabs two and he's like, and then he just drops out of frame in like a kind of a comedic way. He's just like,
Yeah. Okay, you're good there, Ben. Just now, just go down on one knee. Oh, no, your head's still in. Come up again. Go down all the way. Okay, we got it. Check the gate.
Moving on.
Did anyone talk about, I guess we did talk a little bit about how did the father get killed? I don't know how the
Never
father
saw
got
it.
killed, right? No one saw
The
that.
father was a red herring. That you think the father he says he's going to go into the house and get whoever's in the house who's the killer.
Right.
But we're supposed to think it's the father. That's going to be the
did
twist.
notice
Right.
that.
When she goes in, the guy in the blue mask, you're still thinking maybe it's the dad.
Yeah.
But then she cuts the hand off, and then she walks over to this table, and the dad, that killer, the real killer, got the dad and started draining his blood.
That was so weird, but he did it so
He did it
quickly
really
too,
quick.
right?
So
I mean, yeah,
quickly.
really quick.
And then the father gives this
silently.
like,
Yeah.
kind of heartfelt speech, like "I'm sorry," as he's like dying.
Yeah, he figured out he shouldn't have bought a baby for $11 a month. That worked out badly.
Fuck that guy. He should die.
Actually, though, that didn't work out badly. It really didn't. Actually, it saved his daughter.
I guess
if,
so.
if he didn't, we would have never
I
found.
fucking can't wait for the sequel.
And how did Dakota Moss end up on the side of the road missing her limbs? She was on a bus the last time we saw her, but then she was all of a sudden on the side of the road, right?
Oh, who knows?
Yeah.
So she should have
See
been
that.
at home.
And where did her limbs go?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When Aubrey's limbs were cut off, presumably the murderer did something with them. But if Dakota was in the supermarket when it happened, did her leg just fall off next to her? Like, why didn't any of that get explained?
None of it.
Where's her goddamn leg?
What happened? What happened? Just the guy that she met on the
guy.
I
Well,
don't
then
know.
there's the dream sequence
guy
of that
she
guy.
met on the bus then is making love to her.
Yeah.
And he takes his
Wait,
shirt
what?
off and he
He
got
has that tattoo.
He's got a tattoo on his shirt. I mean, his chest, and then it starts moving,
Yeah.
and then an eye pops out of it, of his chest, and then it goes, and then
Blue eye.
But that's what I'm saying. It was like
Blue eye.
David Lynch for
Blue eye.
dummies. It was sort of like, here's some weird shit. Like, even her, like the madam at
my favorite character in the
I love
movie.
They
her.
shoot her with like a
Loves
fish
her.
lens, and she's like, I don't care. Your ID says you're 21, you're 21.
Dance.
Yeah, and then Dakota's finger has fallen off. She's passed out on the floor, and she's like, go dance. Like, she's a very abrasive woman. We asked you, the audience, to come up with a drinking game for this movie. We felt that may be the only way to watch it. So it's time for some viewer mail.
You've got mail, baby, yeah.
Okay, here we go. Dan in Toronto says, every time this movie rips off David Lynch, drink all the liquor in your cabinet, then kill yourself. Ethan Poe.
Then kill yourself.
Then kill yourself.
Holy shit.
Ethan Poe writes, here's a color change challenge. Every time you see a scene with a blue filter, do a shot of Johnny Walker blue. Every time you see a red filtered scene, Johnny Walker red. That's one. And then,
by the way, there was yellow in the movie too. Brian Garrity and all things related to him were yellow.
None of that made any sense.
You're welcome.
And then Liam Sr. said, drink once for every time you wish you were dead so you wouldn't have to sit through this awful movie and repeat.
Amazing.
Thank you guys for sending those in. You get nothing.
But everybody knows you don't do shots of scotch.
Yeah, you have to sip that.
You got to sip that
That's a sipping drink.
By the way, not
Can't
to...
do shots of blue and red scotch?
Not to rip on this, but watching that football scene, and I Know Who Killed Me, made me appreciate how great the football scenes in Friday Night Lights is shot.
Oh, my God.
It was the most boring football game I've ever seen.
It was terrible. And the crowd going nuts at the discovery of Jennifer Tilly's body. Not Jennifer Tilly, but now that's all I can think of. I love that there is legitimately on the DVD, which I did not know, a blooper reel.
There's an alternate ending and an alternate beginning. The alternate beginning is
what's
just
that?
Just cityscape shots.
Instead of her slowly non-stripping.
Yes, so they made a good choice there.
Instead of her bumping her hips against a pole and then bleeding, then having her period on a stripper pole.
Really sexy. This company, I researched this company. They made some great movies, like the remake of April Fool's Day. And
remake of it?
Yes.
What is that?
April Fool's Day was like a movie like in the 80s, like this horror movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah, they did the remake of that. They've made 4 movies since, and they've all been like direct to DVD.
Oh my God.
Films.
Well, can they call us, please? We need to talk to you guys.
This was a big disappointment for Lindsay Lohan's career, apparently, this movie. Because this is...
Wait, it was?
They said that this is right after... She was hospitalized during the majority of this film.
Oh, God.
And so she was very sick.
What's funny about the blooper reels, though, because it does look like she's in the thick of it when watching her performance, but when watching the blooper reels, she seems like she's having a great time.
You know, she comes to set with her A game.
She's a pro.
Oh,
she's a pro's pro. You know, the pros sit around and they talk about her.
Any final thoughts, anybody? Anything we didn't cover? All right, guys, That was it.
This is a pretty great one.
This is an amazing one. I highly recommend you watch it. Big thanks to Kim Marino. Kim, do you have anything coming up? You have a Twitter at Kim Marino that people can follow you on.
Yeah.
Anything you want to?
Seems like you don't.
Burning Love.
Do you hate your Twitter?
No, I'm fine with the Twitter. I just don't know how to promote the Twitter.
You're on
I know you
Twitter.
don't have it at all.
You're on Twitter, and that's enough.
We
That's
do
all you have
Children's
to
Hospital. We're going to do a thing, Burning Love, soon. But we'll talk about it. It's not completed. And then Children's Hospital, and I don't know what else. Other things.
All right, great.
I mean, I don't know what to say about
You got Wanderlust coming out, too.
Oh, yeah, Wanderlust is coming out the 24th of February.
It's a hilarious movie. You're fantastic in it.
Thanks.
Awesome. And I'm on Twitter at Paul Scheer.
At Miss June Diane.
I'm not on Twitter.
And check us out on our Facebook page at How Did This Get Made. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.